and they are also behind the GameStop saga. And yes, we are talking about the short squeeze and all that story. Idex has been recovering from the big crash, but many people have missed one big investor that has just bought Idex. So this is what this video is about, so let's get started. And this is Idex institutional ownership, and like I said, we are not gonna beat around the bush, we're gonna have a look at it right now. And the big investor that most people have missed is Citadel Advisor, and I'm gonna zoom in for you because you know, cannot even see that. Citadel Advisor, that's the number of shares that they bought, an awful lot of shares, and later in the video I'm gonna tell you the reasons why Citadel bought it, and it's gonna be incredibly interesting, I promise. But Citadel is a massive hedge fund, and they are also behind the GameStop saga. And yes, we are talking about the short squeeze and all that story. It's all under investigation as we speak, so I cannot say anything about it. There is obviously a big lawsuit and stuff like that, but to move on, they do that. They actually buy companies like Idex because they have some inside information and they know things that we do not know. And by the way, if you want to stay up to date on companies like Idex, I make video updates when any news on Idex comes out, because that's what I do, and I'm also a holder of the company, so I kind of kill two birds with one stone. And this is Citadel, and in terms of size, these are the 10 biggest hedge funds on the planet. And look, BlackRock, which we all know it's massive, it's number 8, and number 9 is Citadel. So just to tell you, it's absolutely massive. And the reason why these guys buy is because they know something we don't know, and because news has come out on Idex, and that's something that we're gonna have a look at it right now. And this is the reason why they bought. Ideanomics set to join Russell 3000 index, and according to a preliminary list of addition posted on June the 4th, this will take effect after the US market opens on June the 28th. But what is the Russell 3000? Well, these are the 3000 biggest US companies in the US, obviously. But it's not only that. The membership in the US all-cap Russell 3000 index, which remains in place for 1 year, means automatic inclusion in the large cap Russell 1000 index or the small cap Russell 2000 index, as well as the appropriate growth and value style indexes. And so the bottom line is that Idex will get so much money, and not just in the short term with the inclusion in the Russell 3000. If we just hang on a little bit longer, we know that Idex, and by longer I mean a year, we know that Idex will be included even in other indexes, and that will mean even more money going in. So as an investor, you should be incredibly happy, because obviously I'm an investor myself and I'm incredibly happy. And the CEO has also released a comment on the inclusion on the Russell 3000. Joining the Russell indexes enables Ideanomics to extend its reach out of the institutional shareholders community, where we believe our story is going to resonate extremely well. And we plan to utilize our inclusion in the Russell indexes as a platform to grow shareholder awareness, which with our team is executing our plans, delivering on commitments, and driving growth across our businesses. And this is the bottom line, guys. This is so important. Approximately 10.6 trillion in assets are benchmarked against Russell's US indexes, and Russell indexes are part of the FTSE Russells, a leading global index provider. But this is not even the biggest bit of news that I'm gonna give you today on Idex, because we know that Idex is just not simply a stock, but it's also a company, and so there is news on that as well. Idex today announced it has completed its previously reported definitive agreement to acquire 100% of US Hybrid, a manufacturer and distributor of electric powertrain components and fuel cells. And so that's something that I told you about in my previous video on Idex, and yeah, that's the kind of news that I release on my channel. But this is big news because that's something obviously we were waiting for, and it's now down on paper so that everyone knows about it and is gonna start making revenues for us. That's the big deal. Because remember, Idex is not a short-term play. It is actually actually a very long one. I know that at the moment we are actually doing quite well in terms of stock price, but overall you have to remember that the company is not profitable yet, which calls for a question. Is it a good time to buy Idex or not? Let's have a look at the chart. Right, so based on what we did last week, as I told you, we were inside this wedge and now we are inside this purple channel. So what we did some time ago now, a couple of weeks ago, we were inside this wedge and we were going down, and now we broke out of it, which is incredibly good. And by the way, if you look at lots of stocks, not just Idex, they're all inside this ascending channel, and to be honest, it's going very well. Like, if you want to day trade it, this thing is money. Yeah, as you can see, that's on a daily chart. You know that you are inside this channel more or less. You want to catch your losses if it goes beyond that. So based on that, we might have either a little bit more down movement, like to touch the side of the channel, or potentially and more likely we can actually go back up and hit a more like higher price, which is something that we are waiting for as Idex investors. So it's either going down like this, and as you can see, this is me just with an arrow, or potentially we could go up like this. Ta-da-da! And so in terms of investor sentiment, is Idex well seen now, or it's time to not buy it because people do not like it? Well, do not listen to me because I make videos on it and also I'm an investor. But if you look on tip ranks, and that's what we are looking at right now, the investor sentiment is positive, yes. And overall, it's in line with the sector average, which is obviously overall positive. And so the bottom line is that Idex is a great company to buy now, because you know that there's gonna be the inclusion in the Russell 3000, which is pure money, guys. The money will come in and we know that. On top of that, in a year time, if the company hasn't gone bust, that's basically the main issue right there, or potential issue, well, it would also be included in other indexes, which means even more money flowing in. And in addition to that, if you count that the company is increasing their revenues and is working very fast to become a big player in the EV industry, that's what Idex is about, and making it a very good stock for anyone's portfolio. Guys, this is the channel for more EV news on Idex, and yes, I'm a holder, so bear that in mind. And if you want to know more news on Idex, watch this video. The video on the screen right now are more news on Idex stock, so click on the video.